So this is one of those classes where I set out to talk about all kinds of important aspects of chocolate, according to me, and ended up focusing on one thing in the notes that I put down for myself. So while we are definitely going to get into the medicine of chocolate, the medicine of cacao, we're really going to blow up one part of the experience. And for folks who don't know, previous to my being able to open my apothecary and clinic, I was in the chocolate world. I was buyer of fine and craft cacao, which was really awesome. And I got to talk about chocolate and eat chocolate and taste chocolate and share chocolate all day long. And it's still very much one of my passions and a medicine that I think deserves our deep, deep reverence for a lot of different reasons. I'm going to do a part 2 to this class down the road because I want to talk about eventually the politics of chocolate. I want to talk about chocolate plantations and chocolate labor at some point. And I also want to talk more about how chocolate is and will be influenced by climate change, and how the people who are native to the lands where chocolate grows are impacted by both the chocolate trade and global climate change. So we'll cover that at some point. We're not going to do it today. We're going to keep this one focused on medicinal benefits, but I am going to give you some pointers on what to buy and what absolutely not to buy. As an aside, for anybody who comes across this video thinking that I'm going to talk about cacao ceremony, you can click and close and move on right now. Whenever you see people, especially folks who are not native to cacao growing regions, talking about doing cacao ceremony, just turn and walk the other way. And when you see people trying to sell you ceremonial grade cacao, also they're just grifters. Turn around and walk away, right? I'll give you more later on in the class, and a little bit details in the comments below. So, chocolate. First and foremost, chocolate grows on a tree. It's technically a vegetable, so we should eat as much of it as we want. Not really, but that's it's one of 2 good dad jokes that I have about chocolate. So chocolate, good chocolate comes from a tree, the Abram cacao, the cacao tree, and it is actually the seed of a very beautiful fruit. If you've never seen cacao fruit before, please open up a new browser window and go look so you can bask in the glory that is a cacao fruit. I mean, you cannot look at these fruits without wanting to bathe in them. While we do use the seeds of the cacao fruit to make chocolate, the pulp that's inside of those fruits is also incredibly delicious when fresh, has kind of a strawberry pink lemonade vibe, and it's like mushy and gooey and gray and kind of disgusting looking, but oh my god, is it incredible. And there are some people doing pressed cacao pulp juices and sparkling waters and cocktail ads now, so folks that are not in places where cacao grows can finally enjoy cacao pulp. So cacao is a tree, Theobroma cacao. Theobroma, one of my favorite botanical names, by the way, food of the gods or blood of the gods, which gives some indication of how indigenous folks in various places viewed the sacredness of this tree and the power that cacao medicine brings to people who work with the spirit of cacao in an appropriate way. This particular tree grows only 10 to 15 degrees north and south of the equator. So cacao does not grow worldwide. You cannot grow this tree in a greenhouse. That's not how that works. They grow where they grow, and that's where they're harvested. Now, chocolate bars, fine chocolate bars, craft chocolate bars can be made anywhere in the world, but the trees themselves have to be grown in very bioregional specific places. And in many of those places, I'm looking at you, Venezuela, Chuao, there is ceremony and ritual and mythology wrapped up in cacao trees. who can approach them, how they are worked with, how they are harvested, how they relate to the ancestors, which deities they connect to. So even when we are enjoying a craft chocolate bar made in San Francisco, America, we should always be reverent and mindful of the fact that for a great number of people, this is sacred medicine, and that we are incredibly fortunate for groups like Cacao Preservation Project who work with indigenous peoples to ensure that they are getting fair trade, above and beyond fair compensation for their work, that the land is being protected, that people aren't coming in to try to take all of their cacao resources and treat it like a cash crop. There are people out there doing good work. And part of what I'm going to share with you at the end about which chocolate to eat focuses on the brands and the makers who are passionate about preservation. Because like coffee, like bananas, like so many of these foods and medicines that we enjoy that are bioregional, especially equatorial, they may have an expiration date on them, in regards to global warming and in regards to pollution and in regards to the quality of soil and land. So we have to be mindful with chocolate, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that now, I guess. So when I say craft chocolate, or fine chocolate. I hate the word fine. I hate the term fine chocolate because it seems to me if you give somebody fine chocolate and they say, oh, how is the chocolate? Is it delicious? It's fine, right? No, I hate that term. Craft chocolate is different than grocery store chocolate, okay? We are not talking about Toblerone, Lindt, definitely not Hershey's, like any of the multi-ingredient grocery store chocolates are oftentimes coming off of poorly funded plantations, and they're not even real chocolate by the time you get them. I am talking about craft chocolate, made bean to bar by hand, usually 3 ingredients, okay? Look for cacao powder, cacao fat, butter, solids, and a little bit of sugar. And that's it. Now, there will also be some craft bars that have inclusions in them. They'll have some ginger root or some blueberries or some cacao nibs. That's totally fine too. But the minute you start seeing soy lecithin, cocoa liqueur, alkalized cocoa powder, it's not craft chocolate anymore. And the medicinal benefits are, we're going to assume they're not there because they're probably not there. Now it's just candy, right? It's chocolate flavored candy. And by the way, that scent that most people associate with grocery store chocolate, poor quality plantation chocolate, is actually closer to the fragrance of imitation vanilla or marshmallows than it is to true cacao. When you get a craft chocolate bar, you are getting real chocolate. So if you've never had real chocolate before, again, down in the details below, I'm going to share some of my favorite brands. Hopefully you can find these at specialty stores or grocery stores or online where you are, and just eat them and revere them and bow down to them and take in the medicine because it's awesome. So 3 ingredients, and you're getting the actual medicine. So now let's get into that part of it. Like I said, I wanted to talk about all of the health benefits of cacao: cardiovascular, mood, digestion, oral health, spiritual practice. There's no time. This is like how cool cacao is. So we will do many classes, but I want to focus on one thing: anandamide. Anandamide is what they call the bliss molecule. That name, Ananda, from the Sanskrit word for bliss. Anandamide is a fatty acid neurotransmitter that all of us have in our bodies, and it is part of the cascade of neurotransmitters that help us feel blissful. They help us feel happy, contented, satiated, at home in our body, at home in the world, connected to the world around us. This is heart medicine beyond the cardiovascular system, beyond the pump of the heart. This is spiritual heart medicine, okay? So this neurotransmitter, anandamide, and I'm just going to pull facts out of the air because you could write a tome on cacao, right? This was one of, if not the first endocannabinoid discovered. You heard that right. This conversation about chocolate just went in the direction of THC. So here's where the discussion gets really fun. Anandamide, a fatty neurotransmitter that is found richly in cacao, and just a few other foods that we know about. Black pepper, Piper nigrum being one of the other ones, but not quite as fun to eat in large quantities. It binds to the cannabinoid receptors in the body, okay? In the exact same way that THC from cannabis binds to the cannabinoid receptors. So hopefully you're having some ahas right now. Oh, this makes sense that when I am feeling depressed, I crave chocolate and I eat it and I feel better. Or when my energy is low, I eat chocolate and I feel better. Or some people, when they're experiencing pain, they crave chocolate, the body craves chocolate, you eat chocolate, you feel better, right? Again, grocery store chocolate, you eat a bar of Hershey's garbage, is going to give you 5%. That's not a real statistic, but theoretically 5% of what's possible. You eat a good bar, even a few pieces of a good bar. I'm not afraid to take down a whole 50-gram bar of craft chocolate over the course of a day. I'll do it today. I do it a lot of days. I suggest you try it too. Then you will feel the effects, okay? So this is a fun conversation because there are people say, I eat chocolate all the time and I never feel the bliss. I never feel the blood moving energy. I never feel the sense of connection and the pain mitigation and the mood lifting. It's like, well, because you're not eating chocolate. You're eating chocolate flavored candy, which is not going to do the same thing. It's like taking herb flavored medicine, right? It's either medicine or it's not. We want to make sure that it's good stuff here. So because of this binding, the endocannabinoid system, what very, very little we understand about it at this point in time, acts to regulate the body, to create harmony. A lot of people will say homeostasis or balance in the body. I do not like those terms. I feel like homeostasis and balance are disease states. Balance is precarious. Being dynamic and harmonized is much more healthy. Being able to be shifted out of your center and come back into your center. Balance shifts out of center and it topples, right? Not good. So we think about homeodynamics, an adaptogenic balance, versus homeostasis. Get in the spot, stay there. None of us live in a life where we get into the sweet spot and we stay there, right? Life happens to you, it happens through you, and you get budged. So the endocannabinoid system plays into helping us be dynamic. Is this a true adaptogen? I think not. I have heard herbalists and cacao professionals try really, really hard to sell cacao as an adaptogen, but for many reasons which are beyond the scope of this class, it does not fit the bill for me. But to combine cacao medicine with adaptogenic work, oh, by all means, take your reishi ashwagandha, holy basil, and cacao and be happy, right? And if nothing else, it will drive that adaptogenic effect deeper into the body and further into the central and peripheral nervous systems and that stress adaptability potential for the human body. So, because of the endocannabinoid system and the way that anandamide works as a fatty neurotransmitter, we see that it affects people's memory, recall, vividness of visualization, meditation, what's possible. It can help with appetite, either mitigating through satiety or stimulating for people who need to eat more food to be healthy. It can help with better sleep, not necessarily by eating a bar before bed, because it can be a little stimulating. But by having it as part of your life, again, it starts to regulate a dysregulated system. In the same way that daytime stimulating adaptogens help drop you off for a deeper restorative sleep at night. Pain mitigation in cacao. Why herbalists don't talk about cacao medicine more for pain, I have no idea. My anti-inflammatory, systemic anti-inflammatory formula that I wrote several years ago and hand out like candy here in the shop, called Fireline, is cacao based. It's a cacao formula, right? We actually hand tincture powdered Chuao cacao from Venezuela, and it works, right? This is something that, and a little black pepper never hurts, right? To drive that. And of course, mood. Chasing away the blues, helping with depressive patterns, getting us out of a funk, breaking us out of pathologically toxic patterns that we seem to keep repeating. And for me, the aspect of mood where the problem is disconnect. The problem is feeling that we are not part of, that our presence is not integral to the infinite number of relationships that make up the cosmos. Cacao is a reconnecting medicine, right? It's beautiful this way. So when you thinking about the holidays, because we just passed Christmas, it's almost New Year's, need to be in a situation with people where it's difficult. The communication is difficult. They're not people you really want to hang out with. Maybe there's family stuff. Like, start out with some really high quality drinking chocolate, or pass around a bar of craft chocolate and like get everybody's blood moving, get their heart open, and see how the dialogue changes. See how the energy of the space changes. Cacao as a spirit is a heart opener, a heart healer. That is her energy. That is the way she is honored in many, many of the indigenous cultures where that surround where cacao grows. And it's the experience of so many people who get nerdy about chocolate, like I am. So what else could we talk about? We could talk about, there is such a thing as a clinical endocannabinoid deficiency, meaning that your body either doesn't produce enough of the neurotransmitters that plug in and satiate the endocannabinoid system, or your body has a hard time taking them up from the foods that you eat, which either have them directly in the case of cacao, or contain precursors that give your body the ingredients to build them. Because for people that don't know a lot about cannabis, for example, you are not introducing anything new to your body. Your body contains all of this chemistry already. When we supplement with cannabis or cacao or whatever, you're just adding more to what's available. You're filling up the reserves, okay? So clinical endocannabinoid deficiency can lead to severe chronic depression, central nervous system issues, everything from Parkinson's to multiple sclerosis, digestive issues. There is a lot of research quietly being done around this as a possible root cause of a lot of people's problems. So, it can sound dismissive, but even around here, when people are struggling with stuff, I ask them to eat chocolate. Not only as a radical act of self-love and to just reward yourself, but like to take the medicine that could potentially give your body what it's missing, which has gotten you into the situation that you're in the first place. When folks are at suboptimal levels of anandamide and other endocannabinoid neurotransmitters, they lack happiness, they lack connection, they feel isolated, there's more fear, more anxiety, more reactivity, the stress coping mechanisms fall apart. Stress happens and it knocks them down, versus stress happening and them kind of getting disturbed and then coming right back into center and learning or strengthening from it, right? So we should be mindful of this cacao medicine. And one of the ways that we can nourish our body and having enough is to supplement, right? Is to just let cacao be part of your life. If you're not a huge fan of chocolate, that's okay. First of all, try craft chocolate first before you decide you don't like it. Divorce chocolate from the idea of candy chocolate, of flavored chocolate, and enjoy actual cacao. If that doesn't work with you, try drinking chocolate. Again, I will leave some brands down in the details below that I really like. If that doesn't work for you, get a good high quality cacao powder and put it into your smoothies, put it into your protein shakes, get it in there somehow. To me, cacao medicine is on level of import with mushroom medicine right now. And I'm glad that it's not going through the same sort of renaissance of popularity that mushrooms are right now, because there's not necessarily enough of it to facilitate that kind of hype. I hope that it kind of stays a little bit of a secret, but I'm going to tell you, knowing that you will respect the medicine, right? That we will take only what we need and work actively to protect and preserve the remainder for other people, for the indigenous folks for whom this is sacred medicine, et cetera, et cetera. So what else can I think about? There is one more thing I will say. Fatty acid amide hydrolase, FAAH, breaks down anandamide and causes many, many issues. When this is high in the body, it makes it harder for the body to work with anandamide, the bliss molecule. It breaks it down and destroys it and turns it into other things before it can do the magic that it's there trying to do. So there are compounds that inhibit FAAH. One of them is camphorol. I'm butchering that. Sorry, this is what happens when you do classes and you don't make a syllabus, right? But this is my style. You can look it up if you want. Maybe I'll remember to put it in the notes. And this particular compound helps to inhibit FAAH, right? To protect anandamide so that what we have gets to do what it needs to do. And where do we find this? Leafy greens, veggies, berries, especially green tea. Really, really good Camellia sinensis. If you want to get snobby, here's where you get snobby. Great, fantastic green tea or matcha, excellent chocolate. If you're a coffee drinker, high quality, fair trade coffee taken in small doses so that you're getting a therapeutic dose of the plant medicine that is coffee versus the adrenal exhausting excess that is a coffee addiction. They're two totally different things. So adding those foods to your diet can help you protect and preserve the anandamide you have and the extra anandamide you get from supplementing with fine chocolate. So this has gone a little further than I anticipated, but I had a good time. Hopefully you learned a few things. If you are interested in what I am calling folkloric herbalism and what clinical herbalism looks like in practice and spiritual herbalism, come hang out with us over on the Patreon. We do advanced classes every month, courses happening all the time that you can get in on, Q&As, vlogs, personal vlogs, talk about what's happening in the shop, what's going on here, book reviews, resources, all that stuff. I'd love to see you over there. And in the meantime, please scroll down to the details below. I'm going to list some of my favorite craft chocolate bars. Probably not all of them because I am a connoisseur of chocolate and I don't want to overwhelm you. I'm going to give you 5 from starter bar to somebody whose palate, you can taste the stone fruit and orchids in the chocolate bar from Samburano Valley in Madagascar, right? People get so nerdy about chocolate. If you get into this, chocolate people make wine people look like nothing, right? Getting into the terroir, the flavors, the production, it's very, very cool. So scroll down, look at the bars, see if you can find one locally. If not, grab one online, support these makers. Most of them have day jobs. A lot of them aren't living off of chocolate. There's not that much money in it. And let me know what your faves are. Let me know how you enjoy chocolate. If you've got a craft chocolate fave, give them a little love in the comments below. And let's enjoy some chocolate together. I'll see you next time.